helpers again. Welcome to hip helper number 2. So there are going to be some props for this one today. And I debated whether or not this was going to be number 2 or number 4 because it's a bit of a strength one. But this is honestly my favorite strength move for the hips. And if you have tight hips, odds are they're also a little bit weak. So not only do we want to stretch the hips, we also want to strengthen them. So let me give you some things. If you have a yoga block at home, go ahead and grab that. This is the best and easiest prop for this particular exercise. You're going to want to make sure that the block is wide and flat on the lowest level. Now, if you don't have a block, you could always use a folded up blanket or even an old book. So essentially what you need is something to elevate your body up, something that you can step on so that you can lift your torso up, and it's got to be able to support you. So whatever you can find that does that is great. Make sure you put it on a sticky mat or on a surface that's not going to slide. Okay, so here we go. Make sure you've got your item, whether it's a yoga block or a blanket or book or something else, on the floor. It's flat. And you're going to put your right foot on that block. And you're going to shift all your weight to your right leg and come up onto the block. Now your left toes are going to stay on the floor. Your hands have options. They can come to your hips. They can come into prayer pose. Really, we're not going to balance very much up here. We're just trying to shift the hips around. And remember, if you're up on a yoga block, you're only 3 inches off the floor. If you lose your balance, just set those toes down. It'll be no big deal. I'm going to put my hands on my hips for this one so that you can see how my hips are moving. I'm going to float these left toes up off the floor and drop that left foot down without bending my right knee. Then I'm going to lift the hip up and drop it down. So I'm going to go back and forth with this, tilting the hip down and lifting it up. Now if you watch the video, you can see as I tilt my hip down, see how my foot is hitting like halfway down that block? That is, so you can tell how my hips are shifting and coming back up. Let's do a couple more. One more. And then release and come back down. By the time you do 6 or 8 reps of that, your standing leg, that hip, probably will feel a little bit fatigued. This is something that we don't do very often. Also, I should say, if you don't have a block or a blanket or a book, you can do this on your stairs. Now, we'll slide the block over to the other side. Set your left foot on there. We're going to lift up, so now we're going to work the left hip. Right toes are on the floor. Like I said, I'm going to have my hands on my hips so that you can see my hips moving. You can have your hands wherever you feel most comfortable. Float those right toes off the floor, and then here we go. We're going to slide the hips down. I should say the right hip down, and then lift it up. Slide it down and lift it up. You're going to do all of this while keeping your left leg straight. Make sure the muscles in the left leg are engaged, and both of those gluteus muscles, so your tush, needs to be engaged. All right. Here we go. And then release. Come down. If you have low back pain, hip pain, you feel super tight in your hips, you need to address these things not just by stretching, but also by strengthening. So add this to your routine at home and see if you can get those hips a little bit stronger. It'll help you stand up taller, you'll feel more confident on your feet, and so much more. Okay, I'll see you next time on Hip Helpers.